welcome to Divinely Driven Results, where you learn and implement divine strategies for real results in your business. Now, have you ever had one of those days where it just seems like everything is piling up on you and you're feeling frustrated and just stuck? Well, we all have those experiences, and it might be because our energy is a little bit off. And there's this feminine and masculine side of energy that we need to find a good balance for. And that's why I am so excited to have our incredible guest, Anna Brooks, who is our sovereign energy alchemist, who is going to tell us a lot more about how to get that in balance. So Anna, tell us who you are and what you do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. So I'm a sovereign energy alchemist. So I work with energy, obviously, and it's really a focus on helping my clients to find the balance between, especially their masculine and feminine energies, and the flow between that. This can be, I often work with entrepreneurs, so in business sense, where it's a struggle sometimes because they might find themselves way too heavy on the masculine energies or way too heavy on the feminine energies. And this can show up in their business in so many different ways, or even if they're starting to grow a business and they're just really coming up against roadblocks and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere and they're getting frustrated. They feel like they're doing everything right, but nothing's working. Or on the flip side, they're just finding themselves so unmotivated. They're so lethargic. They're so just exhausted. And it's that imbalance. So very often this is what I work with my clients, because everybody has their own personal energetic signature and a way to actually balance this out. And I don't even like the word balance as such, because it makes me think of like evenness, and it's not an even thing. We all have our own kind of harmony. I like the word harmony that works with it, where we know exactly what kind of energy we need to be in and how to get ourselves into that state and how to utilize it the best, and then how to shift and mold out of that when we need to. And some of us are going to naturally be in our feminine more, some of us are going to naturally be in our masculine more, and that's absolutely fine. It's about really figuring out what works for you.
I love that. It's so funny. I talked to someone, oh gosh, maybe a couple of months ago, and they're like, your masculine energy is really strong. And I was like, well, I wear pink and, like I'm kind of a girly girl. And it was like, no, that's not what that means at all. So
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So talk to us a little bit more about the difference between feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah, what you said is exactly what people often think. This is what I thought, right? I'm exactly like you. I grew up very much in my masculine energy. I was very strong, determined, independent. I knew what had to get done and I was going to get it done. And that was just it. And so I always associated, the feminine with kind of, to be honest, laziness, just not really doing anything, the pretty things. I mean, I know I'm wearing like a dress with pink stuff now, but I didn't used to. And so it was just something that I couldn't naturally feel into. And that's what I associated with it. It wasn't until I kind of went into it a bit deeper that I started to understand that no, it's the same as understanding that it's not male and female, it's an energy archetype. And so males are not meant to be always in their masculine, females are not meant to be always in their feminine. It's not actually how it works. It's meant to be us accessing those different energies. And the energy of the masculine shows up in the doing. It shows up in the ambitiousness, in the drive, in the passion, in the inspiration, in wanting to move forward and take action on things. It's what literally brings something into being, right? Because as long as you're just in your mind going through what you want to create, you're always going to be in the process, I guess, of just calling it in and never actually bringing it into the being. Whereas the feminine, most people forget that actually the feminine is what starts it. Without intention, there is nothing to follow. And the feminine is the intention. The feminine is the asking. It is the calling in. It is the setting, the decree of saying, this is what I desire. This is what I am calling in, so that the masculine energy can step in and go, oh, cool. So this is what I need to go do. Right? But if we don't start with that, if we start with the doing, which is what most people do, right? They get a plan and they go, okay, now I'm just going to put it into a plan. I've got my to-do list. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the actions. And then they've forgotten all about the actual intention and about the feminine and allowing for grace, because grace is what will actually create for us. We are not there to actually be the ones who our God or our spirit or whatever it is, the energies are going to work for us, but we need to get out of their ways. And when we're in that masculine, especially, like I said, this is something I know very intimately. When we're in that masculine so deeply, we are literally blocking everything that we want to create, because it's like this pushing energy that's just coming out of us from like all angles. And if you think about, if you're pushing things away from you constantly, how in the world are you going to receive? Your energy is completely pushed out, and there's no room for anything to get in. There's no room for grace to come in and to actually take care of some of these visions and some of these manifestations for you.
I love that. And I love how you brought grace into that too. So I mean, it's that concept of like the push pull energy of like just putting your nose to the grindstone and getting it done. And I think as business owners, we very often get into that mode of like, okay, let's just figure it out, let's just get it done. So talk to us a little bit about how we can, maybe if we're in that masculine space a little bit more, how we can bring in that feminine side a little bit more.
Yeah. So first and foremost, it is once again coming back to intention, coming back to what am I actually here for? What is my vision? What is my mission? What is on my heart to bring forth in this? And starting with that, because if otherwise it's so easy to get caught up in the details, in the minutiae of the day-to-day and what needs to get done, and this page needs to go up and this landing page needs to be done and this and this and this. And before you know it, you've got every single duck in a row, and none of the ducks are actually leading to where you want to go. They're just kind of in these different rows, and that's great. And it looks organized and it looks like you're, doing your business properly according to other people, but deep down that A, it's either not working, or B, you're just not feeling it. You're just really getting detached from it. So one of the first things to do is to actually step back and to fall into some trust, fall into some surrender. And this is something that I'm sure you can speak on as well, because it's that faith, right? That if you know that you are here for a reason and you know that you are doing your soul, your purpose work, then has to be that level of trust in yourself that I will make this happen. This will come forth in the way that it needs to, in the most aligned way. And my job is to take the aligned actions as they come up, and not in just powering through, hammering through everything, because that energy is distrust. That energy is, nobody else is going to do this for me. I can't trust anybody else. Nobody else can do this as well as me. The universe, oh my gosh, God, whatever it is, can't catch up, can't keep up with me. I need to do it all myself. There is such a level of distrust in that of course, nothing is going to come from that. And it's the same thing with any faith that you have. You need that. It is a choice, first and foremost, that I'm going to have faith. I'm going to have trust. And from that place, you can start moving forward. From that place, you can ask yourself, so if I had full faith and full trust that what I feel inside of me is real and that I can bring this forth, what would I do next? And take action from that, instead of from what's next on my to-do list, what's all the things I have to do. Oh my gosh, I have to do it all myself, because otherwise it's just not going to work. And it's a totally different energy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have that massive to-do list that never ends. And so if we get caught in the bog of all of that, then we're not going to go anywhere. And I love the fact that you were talking about falling into trust. It makes me think of those trust falls that you just fall into, right? And that's that choice to let go. And sometimes, my clients and I, we talk about how there's almost this balance and this dance between really taking the action that you've been given and those steps that you're supposed to take, and also trusting in God's timing for you. It's like giving your all to your goals. And I like how you said your aligned steps, those aligned actions that you're supposed to take, but also trusting that God is going to have your back, that you are going to get that very next step when you need it. So, that's exciting. I love that. And I think the masculine to the feminine piece, that makes a lot of sense. So talk to us the other way around. Let's say that someone is on the feminine side and they need to bring in a little bit more masculine energy.
Yeah, so this is actually fun. I've worked with a lot of clients on the flip side, which I didn't expect when I first started. I thought that I would work with just people like me, but I found that I had so many things to actually help them, because they would come to me because they would see how disciplined I am, how organized I am, how much I'm getting done at every single day. And yet I'm not exhausted. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not anything like that. And so it was really, really fascinating to actually work with people on this, because it's actually about bringing in some discipline. It's about actually bringing in some structure and some routine into what you're doing, right? So there's one particular book that I love and I recommend to everyone constantly, and I know most people actually have read it but just probably not implemented it. It's Atomic Habits. I've forgotten the name of the author, but it's literally the only book like that out there. And he explains, and he actually gives this really, really beautiful breakdown that if you apply each chapter as you go along, of basically the idea of like, if you start something, if you start these little small atomic habits throughout the day of shifting things around, ultimately you're able to actually create everything that you want. So if right now, for example, your health isn't great and you know that you need to start exercising, you need to start looking after your eating or whatever it happens to be. It's not about going onto some massive diet plan and starting to work out 12 times a week. It's about actually going, okay, what can I start today? How about I start with every night on my way home, I'll actually stop at, the park, and I'll walk for 10 minutes before I continue to drive home. And you do it because you know that you're already in there, you're already doing the drive. It's like putting it into the stuff that is already part of your day. And there's lots of different techniques in the book, but that's what I find is the most helpful, is starting with something small, starting with small routines, small disciplines that you can implement, and getting that voice out of your head that tells you, oh, this isn't enough. This isn't going to be enough. I need to do more. Because as soon as you do that, you cut yourself off. You're going to completely crash and burn, because then that's then when you do decide to go on like a cleanse the same week that you decide to work out 20 hours a day, and then you just, nothing happens, right? You crash and burn and you go back to what you were doing. Whereas the bonus of starting these small habits is that they're not linear. They're actually exponential. So every time you start something small and you implement it and you let it grow, it's not just like this one little thing is going to have this one little result. No, that little thing is actually going to go and grow, and it's going to change things in a much bigger way. So starting small disciplines, small routines, small structures into your day, in whatever way, shape, or form that looks like. I guess when it comes to business, most of us have some kind of structure or something that we think, okay, this is how I'd like things to run. So it can just be about holding yourself that little bit more accountable to the small things. So that if you find yourself, because usually when you find yourself too restless, too kind of lethargic, too sabotaging, turning to food or drink or overeating or whatever it happens to be, it's usually because you're feeling overwhelmed. You're looking at all the things you want to do, and you're looking at the elephant and forgetting that to eat an elephant, you've just got to take one bite, right? And you're just getting overwhelmed by the elephant instead of just being like, okay, what's one thing I can do? And then another thing, and then another thing. And that's how you actually progress that way through.
Love that. Absolutely. And I mean, it really is just bringing in those disciplines, right? And not allowing yourself to compare yourself to other people, because it's that inner dream stealer. That's what I call it. To be able to tell you you're not doing enough, or you're never going to get to where so and so is. And we're all created in the way that we're meant to be created. But that doesn't mean that we can't add a few skills on top of things and kind of have that structure that you're looking for. So that's so awesome. Love, love, love these tips. And I love the fact that you're talking about this type of thing, because I think sometimes we get frustrated with, whether we're on the feminine or the masculine side, either way, we get that frustration and we don't know how to change it. And so it's just those little tiny steps that we can take that is going to make a huge difference. So love it. So just in the last couple minutes that we have, would you mind telling us your story about, how you include God in your business, especially when it comes to that energy?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So for me, I really resonate and really correspond with source, with universe, with energy, universal energy. And I love that everyone who's connected to me, yourself included, we have that resonance, right? There is a resonance of knowing what it is that we are being called to do and what it is that we feel in ourselves, and we then love and respect that and really honor that in somebody else, which is so beautiful. So for me, I was always very, very tapped in from a young age to power, to be honest. I had this understanding that I could just make things happen. And I tested this all throughout my childhood, all throughout my adolescence, sometimes in not the greatest of ways, because I really did figure out how easy it is to manipulate, how easy it is to actually get what you want when you understand that side of energetics, but you also understand human behavior. And I was obsessed with psychology and all these kinds of things. And I went through this phase where I started to feel like I was in control of everyone, because by and large, I was able to get people to do exactly what I wanted them to do. And it was a few years later that I started to realize that there was something missing, that through all of this, I never felt connected with anyone. I always felt like I was on the outside. And it was that sort of time after high school that I started to realize that there was more to me, right? Because I had grown up so in the masculine, like I said, I was an only child from a European family, so there was high expectations galore, and that was my life. It was just get the great grades. If you got an A, why didn't you get an A plus? It was always never good enough, always do more, always do more, and that was exactly what I was headed for. And so, of course, it made sense that I wanted to control everything and everyone around me, because that's the only way I was going to do everything that I needed to do. And ultimately, I started to realize that everything around me, my relationships especially, were just reflections of my knowing that I'm not good enough and that I can't trust anyone, that it's just me in this world. That was my knowledge. That was my operating system. And it wasn't one big thing for me. It wasn't one like massive shift. It was a journey of actually working with many different coaches, many different healers, and a lot of time with myself, and a lot of time with actually just like taking up things like journaling and meditation to go quiet and to really go into myself, that I began to really see the patterns and how they were playing out, and exactly how I'd created all of this, and exactly why everything was still so hard. Even though to the outside world, I was incredibly successful, I was doing everything right, I was, able to do whatever I wanted and all that kind of stuff. Why it was that deep down, I knew that this wasn't it. And it was almost like a tearing down of everything that I had to really come back into, okay, what we started with today, like if I was in full trust that what is inside of me is real, and that I can bring this forth, and that actually I'm designed to bring this forth. This is my destiny. This is my mission. This is my soul. If I fully trusted that, what would I actually be doing? And it was such an unraveling of noticing every single time that I would go to do something and be like, but why? Oh, because I should. Oh, because that's just what you need to do. Oh, because this is what's expected of you. And it was literally everything in my life. And it was an unraveling, like piece by piece, of just going, okay, no, I don't need to do this. I don't have to do anything. There is no shoulds in my life. I actually get to create this myself. And if I'm in full trust, then I know that God's source spirit is working through me. And by me trying to control everything around me, I'm blocking it. I'm literally blocking exactly what I want to receive most, which is that guidance for ease, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be struggling. Like there's amazing things to be learned in the struggle and in the challenges, and that's what actually gets us through it. But our life is not meant to be lived just in that constant struggle against ourselves, against our own will, against our own sole purpose. That's not where we're meant to be at all. So it was that beautiful kind of step-by-step process with, bits of breakdowns and bits of everything else pulled into it, that finally kind of got me there and got me to realize that this is my passion. This is what I started noticing it in my clients over and over, that every time we went back to this topic, things started to shift. When I tried to just deal with what are you doing, like what are your disciplines, what's your mindset, what's all of the kind of conscious higher reasoning stuff, things weren't really shifting. And then the same thing when we tried to just work on the energetics and just on the healing, they weren't really doing anything after that. And so that's when I started to realize that, okay, this is the key. It's that intermash of the focus and the flow, of the feminine and the masculine, of the doing and the being. That is the magic point. When you find that like blueprint for yourself, that's when things start happening. And I just became fascinated with, well, obviously my journey and how it evolved, and then being like, okay, how do I get this even faster for others? Because it's and you can't rush anyone's journey. That's definitely a thing. I understand that. But you can definitely support them to get the answers that maybe at the time are just eluding them, right? Because and that's the whole point of having coaches, is we can figure it all out ourselves. I tell my clients this all the time. You don't need me. Like, you can do it all yourself, but do you need to do it all yourself? Because trust me, I thought I needed to do everything myself, and it was very, very difficult. When I allowed the help and the support, holy moly, like everything just opened up. So I get it. You're amazing. You can do it all yourself, but do you actually need to? Is that of highest service, or is actually reaching out and getting support and like having somebody see your blind spots, because they're your blind spots for a reason, because you can't see them. Would that actually be of service to you? So
Love
yeah.
that. What an incredible story. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and just sharing your heart with us. And I think the thing that stood out the most for me is that question of, if you were in full trust, how would that look different for you? What would you do differently? Because I think that that's where that balance comes in between the masculine and the feminine, is that trust is the feminine, in my opinion. And then on the masculine side is actually taking action on what you've been given. So what a beautiful harmony that you've been able to teach us here today. So Anna, if people want to get to know a little bit more about what you're doing, and also I hear you have a free gift for us, so tell us where they can learn more about you.
Yeah, beautiful. So easiest place probably to connect with me at the moment is on Facebook. So just through my profile, Anna T. Brooks. I'm the only Anna T. Brooks on the internet so far, so that's good. And I would love to kind of expand, especially if this is interesting you in terms of the energies and things like that. I was thinking about the chakras as well. So there's like an energy system within us. There's the 7 main kind of chakras. There's also many, many others, but I love to focus sometimes on just the main 7 and how they actually relate in regards to business. So I did a training a little while ago called Chakras in Business, and it really speaks to, okay, how do I know if one of my chakras is misaligned and how this is showing up in my business? So the symptoms of like, okay, if this is a problem in my business, for example, I'm not having clients reaching out to me, I don't feel like I'm getting any visibility. What chakra does that correlate to, and how do I actually heal that? So it's a really, really good in-depth training. Like, bring your pen and paper, because you're going to make so many notes. But yeah, I would really love to offer that to anyone who wants to check that out. And
Awesome. Well, perfect. Well, we will have the link for you guys to get that amazing free gift, which I am definitely going to check out because I love that idea. And then if you love what Anna has taught us here today, make sure you come join the free Facebook group, Faithful Ladypreneurs, where you can connect with other Christian women entrepreneurs in business. And Anna is going to grace us with her awesome presence and teach us even more. She'll be doing a live in Faithful Ladypreneurs the week that this airs. So Anna, thanks so much for being here today. It has just been such a pleasure. And I know that these keys that you're giving us are really going to help us find even more production in our business.
beautiful. Thank you so much. I really, absolutely loved speaking with you and just getting so much clarity for everyone. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. All right. We will see you guys later on Divinely Driven Results.